Jesus Christ's Sermon on the Mount. These are chapters 5 to 7 from the book of Matthew of the Bible, the Open English Version. It is Jesus Christ's memorable Sermon on the Mount soon after his baptism by John the Baptist. On seeing the crowds of people, Jesus went up the hill, and when he had taken his seat, his disciples came up to him. And he began to teach them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the mourners, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the gentle, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they will find mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who have been persecuted in the cause of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you and persecute you and say all kinds of evil lies about you because of me. Be glad and rejoice, because your reward in heaven will be great. This is the way they persecuted the prophets who lived before you. You are salt for the world, but if salt becomes tasteless, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything, but is thrown away and trampled underfoot. It is you who are the light of the world. A town that stands on a hill cannot be hidden. People do not light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on the lampstand, where it gives light to everyone in the house. Let your light so shine before the eyes of others, so that, seeing your good actions, they will praise your Father who is in heaven. Do not think that I have come to do away with the law or the prophets. I have not come to do away with them, but to complete them. For I tell you, until the heavens and the earth disappear, not even the smallest letter, nor one stroke of a letter will disappear from the law until all is done. Whoever therefore breaks one of these commandments, even the least of them, and teaches others to do so, will be the least esteemed in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever keeps them and teaches others to do so will be esteemed great in the kingdom of heaven. Indeed, I tell you that, unless you obey God's commands better than the teachers of the law, the Pharisees, that is an ancient Jewish sect, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that to our ancestors it was said, "You must not commit murder, and whoever commits murder will be brought to trial." But I say to you that anyone who is angry at their brother or sister will be brought to trial, and whoever insults their brother or sister will be brought before the high council, while whoever calls them a fool will be in danger of the fires of Gehenna. Therefore, when presenting your gift at the altar, that is shrine, even there you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar. Go and be reconciled to them first, then come and present your gift. Be ready to make friends with your opponent even when you meet them on your way to the court. Otherwise, they might hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the judicial officer, and you will be thrown into prison. I tell you, You will not come out until you have paid the last cent. You have heard that it was said, "You must not commit adultery." But I say to you that anyone who looks upon a woman and desires her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, take it out and throw it away. It would be better to you to lose one part of the body and not to have the whole of it thrown into Gehenna. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It would be best for you to lose one part of your body and not have the whole of it go down into Gehenna. It was also said, "Let anyone who divorces his wife serve her with a notice of separation." But I say to you that anyone who divorces his wife, except on the ground of some serious sexual sin, leads to her committing adultery, while anyone who marries her after her divorce is guilty of adultery. Again, you have heard that our ancestors were told, "Do not break your oaths, keep your vows to the Lord." But I say to you that you must not swear at all, either by heaven, since that is God's throne, or by the earth, since that is its footstool, or by Jerusalem, since that is the city of the great King. Nor should you swear by your head, since you cannot make a single hair either white or black. Let your words be simply yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from what is evil. You have heard that it was said, "An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth." But I say to you that you must not resist those who wrong you. But if anybody strikes you on the right cheek, turn the other to them also. If somebody sues you for your shirt, let them have your cloak as well. If you are forced to carry a soldier's pack for a mile, carry it too. Give to anyone who asks, and if someone wants to borrow from you, do not turn them away. You have heard that it was said, "You must love your neighbor and hate your enemy." But what I tell you is this: love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may become children of your Father who is in heaven. For he causes his sun to rise on bad and good alike, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. For if you love only those who love you, what reward will you have? Even the tax gatherers do this. And if you only welcome your brothers and sisters, what are you doing more than others? Even the Gentiles do this. You then must become perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. Chapter 6. Take care not to perform your religious duties in public in order to be seen by others. If you do, your Father who is in heaven has no reward for you. Therefore, when you do acts of charity, do not have a trumpet blown in front of you, as hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, so that people will praise them. There, I tell you, is their reward. But when you do acts of charity, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your charity may be secret, and your Father, who sees what is in secret, will reward you. And when you pray, you are not to behave as the hypocrites do. They like to pray standing in the synagogues and at the corners of the streets, so that people will see them. There, I tell you, is their reward. But when one of you prays, they could go into their own room, shut the door, and pray to their Father who dwells in secret. And their Father, who sees what is in secret, will reward them. When praying, Do not repeat the same words over and over again, as is done by the Gentiles, who think that by using many words they will obtain a hearing. Do not imitate them, for God, your Father, knows what you need before you ask Him. You, therefore, should pray like this: O Father who is in heaven, may your name be held holy. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as in heaven. Give us today the bread that we will need, and forgive us our wrongdoings as we have forgiven those who have wronged us. And take us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For if you forgive others their offenses, your heavenly Father will forgive you also. But if you do not forgive others their offenses, not even your Father will forgive your offenses. And when you fast, do not put on gloomy looks as hypocrites do, who disfigure their faces so that they may be seen by people to be fasting. That, I tell you, is their reward. But when one of you fasts, they should anoint their heads and wash their face, so that they may not be seen by people to be fasting, but by their Father who dwells in secret. And their Father, who sees what is secret, will reward them. Do not store up treasures for yourself on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up treasures for yourself in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in or steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. The lamp of the body is the eye. If your eye is unclouded, your whole body will be lit up. But if your eye is diseased, your whole body will be darkened. And if the inner light is darkness, how intense must that darkness be? No one can serve two masters, for either they will hate one and love the other, or else they will attach themselves to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. This is what I say to you. Do not be anxious about your life, what you can get to eat or drink, or about your body, what you can get to wear. Is not life more than food and the body more than clothing? Look at the wild birds. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Aren't you more precious than they? But which of you, by being anxious, can prolong their life a single moment? And why be anxious about clothing? Study the wild lilies and how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you that even Solomon in all his splendor was not robed like one of these. If God so clothes even the grass of the field, which is living today and tomorrow will be thrown into the oven, won't He much more clothe you, you of little faith? Do not then ask anxiously, what can we get to eat? Or what can we get to drink? Or what can we get to wear? All these are the things for which the nations are seeking, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them all. But first, seek His kingdom and righteousness that He requires, and then all these things will be added for you. Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own anxieties. Every day has a trouble enough of its own. Chapter 7. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. For just as you judge others, you will yourself be judged, and the standard that you use will be used for you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your friend's eye? Why do you pay no attention at all the plank of wood in yours? How will you say to a friend, "Let me take out the speck from your eye," when all the time there is a plank in your own? Hypocrite, take out the plank from your own eye first, and then you will see clearly how to take out the speck from your friends. Do not give what is sacred to the dogs. They will turn and maul you. Do not throw your pearls before pigs. They will trample them underfoot. Ask, and it will be given to you. Search, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. For the person who asks receives. The person who searches finds, and the door will be opened to the person who knocks. Who among you, when their child asks them for bread, will give them a stone? Or when they ask for a fish, will give them a snake? If you then, wicked though you are, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give what is good to those who ask him? Do to others whatever you would wish them to do to you. For that is the teaching of both the law and the prophets. Go in by the small gate. The road that leads to destruction is broad and spacious, and many go in by it. For the gate is small, and the road is narrow that leads to life, and there are few who find it. Beware of false teachers, people who come to you in the guise of sheep, but at heart they are ravenous wolves. By the fruit of their lives you will know them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? So too, every sound tree bears good fruit, while a worthless tree bears bad fruit. A sound tree cannot produce bad fruit, nor can a worthless tree bear good fruit. Every tree that fails to bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. So it is by the fruit of their lives that you will know such people. Not everyone who says to me, "Master, Master," will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, "Master, Master, was it not in your name that we taught, and in your name that we drove out demons, and in your name that we did many miracles?" And then I will say to them plainly, "I never knew you. Go from my presence, you who live in sin." Everyone, therefore, who listens to this teaching of mine and acts on it may be compared to a prudent person who built their house on the rock. The rains poured down, the rivers rose, the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall, for its foundations were on that rock. Everyone who listens to this teaching of mine and does not act on it may be compared to a foolish person who built their house on the sand. The rain poured down, the rivers rose, the winds blew and struck against that house, and it fell with a great crash. By the time Jesus had finished speaking, the crowd was filled with amazement at his teaching, for he taught them like one who had authority and not like their teachers of the law.